Yeah.
Do you live in Illinois?
No.
Oh, you live over
Really, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing Western or?
Mm-hmm. Moved up from LA back in '88.
Oh, seriously? Yeah. Cool. Oh, really? What part of LA?
Step in LA.
Oh, really? Cool.
No, that's it.
I don't necessarily know too much.
North. I mean, it's.
Everything, or is it all?
Yeah, well, you know. Santa Monica Mountains, but LA.
Just kind of brown and everything's kind of brown and hot.
You go to the Valley Mall.
You did?
But we used to go to the Valley Mall.
Well, Valley Girl?
Yeah.
That was
Valley Girl.
That was Galleria.
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah. That was around for a while. Yeah. Well, down is kind of like, okay, it's touched around, but. Man,
5 miles along.
I know, and I just wanted to just pop open my door and kind of one of those motorcycles.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone is coming in person, they usually tend to show up right at the last
Right at the last minute. So, but you don't know about Kelly? I mean, because really, I mean, I could have done this for the house.
Right.
Right.
Well, we do have, I know we had 2 people who, one is in Indiana right now, so that's why she's hopping on Zoom. And the other one has little ones at home, but I think everyone else was coming in.
Okay. Can I get a cup of coffee?
Absolutely. What do you want?
Is that French vanilla?
Oh man, no.
No, I don't like those foreign foods, you know, French fries, English muffins.
When did you start doing
In licensed
How old are you?
27.
Oh, cool. What did you do before that?
Waited tables, cut trees down, you name it.
Yeah, Mark was like, actually, talk to you about
Yeah, you know, it's just, got married, had 3 kids, had to feed them. Quickly realized, have some salespeople have 2 kids. So,
maybe that's why I'm off.
yeah, passive.
No, I didn't say that.
Saw pictures out of Jerry off the kitchen fishing in, huh?
You fish?
No.
There's some feed trees on that fence picked up yesterday. If you want to,
yeah?
want to check them out? Nah, cool. Good morning, man.
How's it going? Good, Blake.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm Bjorn. Nice to meet
Bjorn,
you.
right on. How you doing?
Good.
How's the morning going? Pretty nice. Market open. Market kind of went sideways a little bit.
Good opportunities that I missed out on, but.
Yeah, what one? ELO? ELO? E-local?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, only 15 minutes.
So,
In 10 minutes?
I mean,
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I know.
Five's always good.
Bid F is looking.
Did that? Dude, man, it's loaded right now.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm loaded on it right now, but I'd be watching downside price action maybe, and just the overall market in Bitcoin just like the next couple of weeks. So it looks like the trend's kind of like over.
I think so too.
Yeah,
We're back on full moon.
cool. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Give me something, dude.
What's up, dude?
How's it going, Blake?
What's up, William?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Good.
Doing well?
How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty well this morning.
Can't
Got a
complain.
home under contract, so I'm stoked. That's that was
Important seat.
of course, home that's been sitting on the market 50 days, and then of course, we're writing an offer. Another offer comes in late last
Oh,
night.
yeah, always.
Isn't that always the case?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? Trying to save my clients some money, but then they come in, and then the listing agent called me, and he's like, hey, we'd like to work with you guys, though, so, because I guess the sellers know my people. I was like, oh, weird, small world. So then we're coming back up at that price, but.
Who's the listing agent?
Aaron Wilder, Compass, but he said he was like, yeah, I'll attach their offer just to know, let you guys know that we're not BSing or anything. I was like, hey, well, I appreciate that, because I was a little skeptical at first. I'm like, really? The offer came in late last
Yeah,
night?
most of the time they won't even attach it. But
Yeah, he said that he was gonna do it, so I'm like, well, yeah, I appreciate that. That'd be sweet.
I made a copy of the code.
Oh, thanks, Raj.
Just mark them up.
Cool.
And you can see them. Now, do you have your license, Bjorn?
Not yet. I'm working on it. Do you have showings today?
Yeah, I do.
What time? I guess
1
I'm not
o'clock
doing IC.
or 12:30. 12:30. Yeah. I'm not burning if you wanna join. Come on.
I kind of do.
Yeah.
Other than I can go home and study more.
You need to bust that thing out, man.
How many more hours you got?
69. At 21, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing an
Yeah.
online deal, Rockwell or something?
Yeah, Rockwell.
Yeah.
Fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Really fun. Oh yeah. No, it is funny.
Is that what you did, Rockwell?
Yeah, I did Rockwell, and I just hammered it out like him. A month and a half, just every day doing it.
Right.
While I was in here ISAing, but no, man, I'm excited to get into the nitty gritty.
Make some do-re-mi.
Do-re-mi. Heck yeah. Oh, we got the whole thing right here.
Sale agreement. Look at that. I just read about this last night.
Did you?
A little bit, I think.
In your course?
I mean, it was
It's so funny, you do that
very-
course, and then you're like, oh yeah, I think I know something, and then you start, you gotta write an offer, you're like, oh, I know nothing.
Yeah, 31 exchange. Those are fun.
So I don't.
Oh, it looks like
Is it just
Mackenzie's
us two?
on, she's just muted, and
Is it just
Yeah, I'm here.
I think Breezy's.
Make noise.
Kelly, can you hear us?
don't think Kelly.
It's not Kelly. Kelly is the.
Oh,
this
shit.
is-
I'm Kelly.
Yeah. Blake is Kelly.
Wait, is
Breezy
Kelly gonna be here?
No, Kelly's not gonna be here.
No, okay.
She's not?
I thought
Well,
it was this
maybe.
year.
I wouldn't. I don't.
What about the other guys?
Jay and Adam? I'm not really too sure. I think I saw them out fishing, so unless they're back on the boat from the boat, I don't know. I know Breezy. I thought said she was gonna come, but
She should.
yeah. I like all the forms training. I can get it. Mhm.
So I have an 11. I told Kelly we try. So
Mhm.
we can go to. What time is your showing?
Sometime around 12:30.
Okay.
Yeah. I still have to actually get it confirmed because there's a tenant in there, but I know. Those are always the worst. You get someone asks you to go, they're like, hey, can I see this place? And then you see it's like, oh, we're only having showings from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tenant in there. They'll be kind of operating the showing time. I'm like, oh,
You don't know if it's
yeah.
trash or not.
Well, no, not even that necessarily. It's just more the availability of like being able to get in the door, because tenants can deny you from getting in unless you put a request 24 hours in advance. But oftentimes clients don't operate on that timeline.
What's that? Breeze.
That was Breezy.
You've got to figure out a better system to get that door open. Sorry, I was at your office.
A remote
actually.
button would be kind of nice.
Well, yeah.
I know. I almost went to your office too, and then I was.
Well, like I said, if it was Zoom, I could have done it from my office. So, Breezy's just now scratching the surface on purchase and sale agreements.
Yes. Great. Oh, good. Perfect.
Here,
Awesome.
and I would seriously mark it up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I went through and annotated one of these. It's very helpful.
Okay, so we're gonna start.
Cool.
Mackenzie,
Good stuff.
she can. Anyway, she's muted.
I'm here.
Okay. All right. One of the things that I really, when I started selling real estate, I wanted to really sink my teeth into and really get good at was forms and the legal. Right? I mean, I didn't want to get caught with my pants down. I wanted to be right. And eventually, I knew more than most of the brokers in town, even though I was just an agent. Just because that's what I wanted to do. That's what I was into. So anyway, carried forward to today. So you'll see, this is basically our purchase and sale agreement. Now, back when I started, when God was a little boy, a lot of this information was scattered throughout different. Well, actually, when I started, there was one page.
Mhm.
It was 8.5 by 14.
Oh my
That was
gosh!
it.
Wow.
Name, price, earnest money, closing date, title company,
Finance.
and it was 5 carbons.
Nice.
Those carbon copies. Press hard. That was it.
Right there. Hey, there you go.
I don't even know if there's inspection contingencies on there. There might have been.
It's pretty much a handshake.
Yeah. But they worked.
Yeah.
And even back when I started, they didn't. Everybody that sold real estate represented the seller.
Okay.
That's the way it was.
Wow.
The seller was paying our commission. So I didn't even know who the seller is. I've been riding around in the car with these folks for a month, but I don't represent them.
Weird.
So then there were some lawsuits, and then finally the legislature and the powers to be said, hey, wait a minute. We need to put a net up. It was around mid-90s. And it says, you're representing the buyer, you're representing the seller. Just because the seller's paying the commission, it's with the buyer's money. That's what I've always said. Well, I'm paying the commission. Yeah, well, it's just going from the buyer side through you on the ledger. The buyer's actually paying the commission.
It's because it's baked into the price, right?
Yeah, but it's their money that's funding is the first domino.
Yeah,
The seller's money. It's going through the seller at closing, but it's with the buyer's money. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. So then they started doing multiple pages, and they would have the price. price, earnest money, the name, then here would be the inspection. Kind of like the commercial forms, a little bit like that.
Mhm.
Then they finally got smart, probably about 15 years ago, and they said, look, let's put most of the meat and potatoes on this page right here. But you guys you've been doing enough to know that you can look at page 1 and pretty much get about 90% of the deal. You can look at it and say, let's see what kind of contingency they got. Other than flipping through to the financing and seeing if they ask for closing costs or some other screwy deal inside one of the addendums. This is, it was smart, right? I mean, it was like, hey, it makes more sense to have most of the action right here on page 1. So that's where we're at right now. So we're going to go from, and I want you guys to really understand that on any of these manuals, do you guys use these manuals?
No, but
I mean,
I saw someone use one the other day, and I was like, wow, it's kind of nice.
So, for example,
Super nice.
For example, let's look at a, let's say a 22EF, right? Evidence of funds. I really don't know. You go right here, because a lot of people call me up and they'll ask me these questions, and I'll say, did you read the manual?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is it. This addendum requires buyer to provide evidence of funds, blah, 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 blah. It tells you right there what they're for. Right? And if you don't understand, you go, I know, what is this evidence of contingent fund? Click on the 5 and it'll take you to 5. So every one of the forms has a manual. Not everyone. I would say probably 85% have a manual.
And normally for the most used forms, I'd imagine.
Yeah, you know, like, for example, the escalation.
Oh, they don't have one for.
No, that one is,
Well, I thought it's
what is it, 22?
35E?
35E, yeah. Okay, so this one, you guys should read it every day.
Really?
When buyer wants to submit an offer of property or a competing offer, buyer provide blah, 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 blah. And it says right in here, too. Doesn't matter who you represent. In terms of the competing offer, it just walks you right through it. But it also says this is inherently a very risky form, and they don't advise you to use it. It says it in there somewhere. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the risk of using the escalation addendum?
The risk is if you do the math wrong, which happens a lot. I can give all 3 of you guys the same problem. I bet you I'll get 2 or 3 out of 3 different answers. Annie Fitzsimmons in her class will get it, and she'll get so many different answers. She's like, that's why. And if you don't do the escalation clause correctly, if you read it, then either buyer or seller can get pinched. Yeah. So that's why if you ever use the escalation clause in a deal as a listing agent would be smart to say, okay, here's the math. This is your offer. This was a competing offer. Take a look at the competing offer, and this is how much you're willing to go over, and blah, 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 blah. And this is the price that we come to. Do you agree? So ship it off to you guys. You'll show it to your buyer, and your buyer will say, yeah. And then the smart thing to do is put a big red X right through the escalation clause, get it out of the deal, cross it off page 1, and just take that number that everybody agreed to and change it right here and do an initial. That way, nobody's going to get
I think
caught.
that happened to me with one of mine.
Escalation clauses, honestly, and I have other agents, even experienced agents, argue with me, but I know I'm right.
Yeah.
And that is, they hurt the seller. They hurt, this is what I'm willing to pay, but this is all I had to pay. Well, who would that hurt?
Sell it, yeah. Well, I guess that's why I was always, like, when I would talk to my buyers, at least I'm obviously inexperienced, you know what I mean? But, like, I'd say, like, hey, an escalation clause allows you to, like, you have a certain threshold that you can go up to, but it leaves money on the table for seller, which is benefit to buyer, right? So that's why I guess I always recommended them when I would say, but I guess the messiness of it, I didn't really know was so present.
Well, again, we're jumping around, and that's fine. We can talk about this. And usually these trainings, this is what happens, right? You go down these bunny trails.
Yeah.
But this number 5 right here, most of the time, right?
Yeah.
This offer shall be increased to, right? So this one is how much more I'm willing to pay. up to this price, this one often is the most important number.
Really.
Because if you say I'll pay you $1 million, but I'll go $1,000 over the next competing offer, but this is bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know it's never going to appraise, or the 22AD is not going to cover it, or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're willing to go 1,000 over. I got an all cash, no inspection deal, and I'm going to kick them out of bed for $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
If that's 5 or 10, seller's going to think about that.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to blow their hair back a little bit. They're going to say, well, let's see. Am I willing to kick this cash buyer out of bed for another 10 grand? Even though it may have an inspection, I'm not worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though because even a cash deal is going to take a week to 10 days. If it's financing, am I willing to wait another 20 days for 10 grand?
Absolutely.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but probably. You guys need to really talk to your buyers and coach them into this number, not this number. This number is great, but this is the one that's going to get you the deal.
Yeah, that's what I was telling one of my buyers at the land deal, because they were like, oh, what about like a $500 increment? I was like, well, you got to see it from the seller's perspective. They have a cash deal.
What
right
you need to do
there.
is you need to tell them the story I just told you.
Yeah.
You need to get proficient in explaining that.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that put your seller's hat on.
Yeah,
you
that's
think
what
the
I
seller's
did.
gonna
Yeah.
kick a clean deal, even if it's financing, $500.
Would you recommend against using an escalation clause, or?
I think that, to be honest with you, if you're competing,
Mm-hmm.
you should just have them put up their best foot forward.
Best foot. Okay. No, it's good.
So if your number in number 6 is 480, get rid of the escalation and write it for you.
Okay.
And you need to have a heart to heart with your buyer and say, look, I need you guys to round file this if it goes $500 over what you feel comfortable and your max is.
Mm-hmm.
So if I call you up and I say, well, the winning bid was 481, they're going to say, well, let them have it then. Then you know what? You got them to their top dollar. If they would have said, no, we probably would have paid that, then you didn't get them to their top dollar.
Mm-hmm.
You need to just have those frank conversations with them.
That's a good point.
You need to explain to them that we're still in a tight market, although inventory is picking up. Still a seller's market, although showings are down to the tune of about 30% since three months ago.
I can sense it. I might personally.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, it needs to. What they say is that the market corrects itself.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the market drop is going to correct, no, it corrects itself. Real estate doesn't drop. Yeah. We had some flukes, but it goes like this. Right? It doesn't go like this. So anyway, there you go. So purchase and sale agreement. Let's get back to that. So what I would normally tell a buyer, after you show them houses, you should probably have an idea of how savvy they are, how many houses they bought. Some buyers have bought 10 houses in 10 years. Some people have bought one house in 20 years. Right? So you need to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Because just say, look, here's all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. If you got questions about any of these, it's identified throughout the deal. Earnest money, what does that mean? Right? Earnest money. What is that? But included items, condition of title. You guys need to know that. You need to be kind of proficient because they'll ask you questions.
Mm-hmm.
What is included item? What does that mean? What's included? What's included? I'm showing a house. What's included?
Depending on what the appliance is listed on, the MLS listing. So, it might be a washer, dryer, stove, range,
Right.
microwave, whatever appliances that they have listed, we'll normally check. And then, we'll ask them if they forgot about the fireplace insert that was in there. We'll say, hey, listing agent, we wanted to make sure to check the fireplace insert because we didn't see it listed on the MLS. So is that possible?
So here's included items.
Oh.
What you guys, and you're right.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay, there's included items, but you guys need to read that paragraph because there's a lot of stuff that's not here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do I get those drapes? With that swing set, do I get that?
Are you deciphering them between real and personal property, basically?
No,
And
you just, what's affixed to the real estate is what you got to keep in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's screwed to the wall, You read included items. It goes with, unless on the 22D, which I have in here. Yeah,
Like TF, for instance. I mean, it's
well, it says right there. The TV doesn't go, but the TV mount does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've seen more items like that in washer and dryers bought by realtors than you can shake a stick at because they screwed up. You know what's the bad one? Does the hot tub go with? You have to understand the listing agreement is the agreement between who?
Seller and listing agent.
Right. This is agreement between who?
The buyer and seller.
Okay. So if it's on the listing, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it's on the listing,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean squat.
Yeah.
It's got to get transposed onto here,
Yeah.
or you're going to get
Oh,
water.
yes, exactly.
You're going to be
Yeah.
buying hot tubs.
I guess I was using that as a gauge for the appliances you would check.
Correct.
On the
But
PSA.
again, this is the agreement between buyer and seller. So
Yeah.
if it says the hot tub does not convey, and you check hot tub, you got to just say, you know what? If you check hot tub and that listing agent doesn't come in here, just because it's in the listing doesn't mean squat.
Yeah.
If they don't go under 22D, did I put a 22D in here? Here it
I
is.
think you did, yeah.
Optional clause. If they don't put excluded items, hot tub does not convey, listing agent, you're negotiating a hot tub somehow. It's coming out of your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Because you didn't transpose it here. And I've seen it happen. Hot tubs are the worst. They're big ticket. Washing dryers, you can live with because you screwed up.
I'm gonna pay attention to hot tubs, man. I've not done a deal
Swing
with a hot
sets,
tub, but yeah.
Swing sets. Often you'll see in here plants.
I saw
This
that.
was my mom's azalea. She died. They gave it to me in the front yard. I'm taking it with me. Again, a plant is affixed to the real estate.
I didn't.
Those rose bushes, I'm taking them with me. All right, just put it in there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
This is much more on the listing agent. Buyer, you come in, should ask for everything. Man, let's see if the listing agent catches it.
Yeah.
Wash and dryer do not convey. Often in a listing, you take a listing, they say, well, we don't really care about the washer and dryer. Well, often the listing agent will leave it out, and then they'll throw it back in on negotiations to 35 because the seller doesn't really care about it.
Oh, that's. Okay. I didn't know.
Not really, but it's just. But here's where it'll backfire: is if the buyer says, "No, we have our own, we don't want it." And the seller's like, "Well, we don't
Well,
want
wait,
it."
no negotiating.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. So, under included items, you've got to be careful.
Yeah.
All right, let's just start from the top here. We'll kind of bounce around a little bit. Mackenzie, hanging in there with us?
Yes.
Okay. Offer expiration date, right? Date, MLS number, offer expiration date. If you leave that blank, what does that mean?
There's no expiration.
I thought there's, is it 2 days?
Oh, is it
If
48
it's
hours?
blank, it's.
Very good.
Oh my god.
Breezy's paying attention.
Breezy got it.
So, I'm pretty sure it's
Where?
in here.
Yeah, competition.
No, is that a competition challenge?
Offer and counteroffer expiration date. If no expiration date is specified for an offer or counteroffer, the offer or counteroffer shall expire 2 days after the offer or counteroffer is delivered by the party making the offer or counteroffer unless sooner withdrawn.
Okay, there you go. It's 2 days.
That was an expiration.
And what kind of days are those?
Business.
Okay, business. A lot of experienced agents don't understand that. Kelly and her people probably 3 years ago, she wrote an offer on a listing and it was on a Thursday. They sent it back to Kelly on a Thursday. Right? Thursday. So Friday would be day one.
Day one, Monday,
Monday be day
day two.
They signed up another deal over the weekend. Kelly's people signed up, sent it back because it was still live. This is an experienced agent, General Scott. So what did the seller do? Sold it at the same house, 2 different people. You got a problem?
Oh my gosh.
And because a lot of times people they don't compute offer expirations as 2 business days.
Yeah.
And inspections and all that, and septic and the homeowners association, I can just tell you this. I get an agent in my office that's sweating bullets. 50+% of the time, they fail to compute time. That's the biggest reason that I have agents in the office with a problem. And you just have to think it through. And if you have questions, call. Say, listen, I'm just trying to. And that's why it's super important to get your mutual acceptance day, like on all delivery document addresses, stamped in concrete, because everything marches forward from that day. If you're off one day, if you don't agree with that listing agent off one day, every one of these are going to be off one day.
Yeah.
That's why you always want, and I know Kitty and them are real good, but you always want to send over computation of time. Hey, just so we're clear, I'm counting today as day 0. Are you good with that? Are we cool? Do you not see that? Because if we have an agreement today, we're all signed around today. Tomorrow is day 1. Today's day 0, right? So you guys want to always send that over and get confirmation from the agent that I'm viewing today as mutual acceptance. Do you agree? Get that email back, and then you should be good. Even if they're wrong, you said that we are. Even if you missed an initial. What if you missed an initial? Yeah, I agree. You agree. Oh, 2 days later, Kitty says, "Hey, they didn't initial. Do you have mutual?"
No, because they didn't initial.
You really don't.
Yeah.
Oh.
But often it's like, okay, they initially sent it, but we're still going to consider 2 days ago, day 0. Everybody agrees, and just don't sweat it.
Yeah, I'm always curious about that, because it's like not by the book technically, but it's both parties are agreeing, and I've heard that that's like there is more negotiation and more things that are played off script than I even imagined. You know what I mean?
There is. You got to be careful with that, especially dealing with those old sly as a fox agents.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So you just really want to just kind of do it by the book the best you can. Often, it's like, hey, again, that's why the more you're in this business, the more you build relationships with other agents, and you just know, I really like to do a deal with this agent.
Yeah.
They carry their weight,
Yeah.
And then you're going, oh my God, I'm doing the deal with Bjorn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do all the work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end up doing all the work.
I see.
You'll get reputations like that. So you want to just hold your end of the deal. So offer expiration 2 days from the last initial. Right. Another trivia bonus point. Starbucks card. Does things need to be initial? Does things need to be dated?
What do you mean?
Like if you sign right here, it doesn't need to be dated. If you make a change up here, it doesn't need to be dated.
I always always have them initial and date with any change that's made.
That's not the question.
Oh.
The question is, does it have to be?
I've seen it not done before too, so that's why I'm curious.
You got a 50-50 shot here.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. It doesn't.
You're right.
It doesn't need to be dated.
By law, it's only for reference. It is not required, although it's very sloppy if you do not date it.
Yeah, because I always do, but I've seen people not date it, so then I was like,
Initials are the most important. And again, you guys, you're in the business of closing doors and closing windows. That's what you're in the business of, right? You're not going to have you're like walking down the hall, shut. Get to the end, we close. If you turn around and you have doors and windows open, you're getting sloppy. You're not doing your job. Okay, you follow? I mean, I know it's kind of Chinese to Bjorn, but you're in the business of trying to keep an airtight deal. You don't want, again, intent. Courts look at intent. So if you miss an initial here and nobody caught it, and then buyer gets it inspected, buyer sends over a 35R, seller counters, right? They're moving forward with their intent. They can't now look in the rearview mirror and say, "Oh, you missed an initial." After all that, and say we don't have a meeting of the minds. They're going to have a tough road out.
okay,
right. I mean, if they dig their heels in right there and say, "Look, we're not moving forward until we have," you'll get agents that do that, and that's fine. That's the correct way.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm going to view. Because when an agent calls me and they say, hey, we didn't get an initial there, didn't get an initial there. Do we have mutual? And I tell them every time, no, you don't. If you have husband and wife, and one of these pages has an odd number of initials on changes, you got a problem,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
2 and 2. You should not have an odd number.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's odd. You know, I can glance and pick that off pretty quick. You know,
Yeah.
anymore these days, because we have Authentisign, even if you don't date it next to the initial, you can hover your mouse over this and see when it's sent. Right.
Okay.
You've seen that.
I think I have, yeah.
All right.
I always just date everything.
Buyer seller status. This is really important here. It's most important for the title company,
Mm-hmm.
right? Married couple, married a separate property, unmarried. Let's see. So you want to just put, you know, you're really just going to be doing a
Yeah,
unmarried person.
I've never done any of the other ones other than I did do one though that was married as separate property. It was because I think he was getting a divorce, but he got a divorce.
Yeah.
But he was.
You got to ask a lot of questions if they're getting a divorce.
Yeah.
Because wife still has to sign a quick claim.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I believe that did occur. Yeah.
Yeah. So she signed a quick claim.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, she had to.
Yeah, she had to.
They
Yeah,
wouldn't close it.
So the title company. So like, would I ask him to have her do that, or would the title company handle that?
I would say I wouldn't ask him to do anything. I would just say, okay, just so we're clear though, that this is still a community state, and so your wife has got to give her blessings at closing and sign a quick claim deed. Is she okay with that? How you know? Because a lot of times, you know, it's not a smooth divorce.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and just say, they're going to ask that. So, you know, if she's not willing to do that, then we're done.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have to get divorced.
Yeah.
I have a question. I have a guy who is married. He's the only one that's going to be on the title.
And that's okay.
So what do you?
Same thing. She'll sign a quick claim deed.
Okay.
Well, no. He'll be on title. He's the only one that can be on title? She won't be on title? She'll probably be on title. She won't be on the loan.
Yeah, and that's what I told him. And then there's a little bit of language barrier. And he was like, no, I don't want her on the title because she doesn't have a job right now. And I was like, oh, so you don't want her on the, you'll be the one with the loan out in your name.
That's where you ask the loan officer.
Okay, so go to the loan officer and ask him.
A lot of times these questions are answered by the loan officer or the title.
Okay.
I mean, I'll get some of these agents in our office that do $500,000 a year. Then they call me up and I say, call your favorite title officer. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're like, I didn't even think of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, you know, again, you got to remember the escrow and title, they're the final ones. They're the final ones that stamp it and take it to recording. So it has to pass through their gate.
Yeah.
Right? It's like Thor, right?
Yeah.
You know,
the gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper, right?
Yeah.
Those are the guys that give it their blessings. And if they say, this has to get done or it's not going through the gate,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
All right. You know, so because you guys are traffic cops, right? You know that you don't always. I mean, you want to have a lot of the answers, but also you don't want to be held responsible. No, if you're showing a house, is there any crime in this neighborhood? You know what? Here's the police. Here's the sheriff's number. I would either call them or check their site. You know, don't say, you know, again, those kind of questions. You're a traffic cop.
You hear this one.
You know what I do is I you know, if that's a concern of yours, then I would definitely talk to the sheriff's department and see.
Say that somewhere in there too. What is it? There's a form that talks about review.
Well, there's
it's like with the neighborhood review.
Yeah, neighborhood review.
But then isn't the sheet after that has?
Right. Okay, buyer, seller. Now, often you guys will see the sellers will be 7B.
Yeah, undisclosed, right? Yeah, I see that sometimes.
So if you're a buyer's agent and you add 7B in there, or you put 7B in when you're uploading the information, don't do that. So, I mean, you'll click on to write an offer, but then it'll populate every 7B. You don't have a contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you need to do is you need to go to the legal and find out what their name is.
I did it. Yeah, I went to the assessors on one.
Or the assessors,
Yeah.
or call the listing agent.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I'm writing an offer, I'm not gonna put 7B in here because we don't have a contract that says 7B, or if it says owner, or if it says undisclosed. If it says anything other than their name,
Yeah.
you don't put it in here,
Yeah.
because you got nothing,
Yeah.
right? So do a little work, find out what their name is, and put it under seller. Legal description. Parcel number is great. Okay, legal description is exhibit A. Address. All this stuff will auto-populate, right?
Yeah.
Tax parcel. Here's a little bit of trivia. Do you have to have the tax parcel number or the address or to have a binding contract?
No, because the legal.
Yeah.
supersedes
I was
it.
gonna. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Yeah.
The law says that a surveyor has to be able to find it.
Yeah.
And so if with the legal, they can find it.
Similar to kind of how the addenda on here, it's any form in here supersedes the addenda listed on here, correct?
What do you mean?
So let's say for some reason the 22A was left out, but the 22A is actually included on the offer.
Yeah, whatever's in the PDF is the deal. This is only for reference.
It's glossary.
Yes. Okay. But again, is it sloppy?
Yes.
If you have a financing agency, put a 22A on there. If you miss it, and again, here's the deal. If you guys, this is kind of more for listing agents. If you have a Form 35 and you don't have a Form 35 in here, as a listing agent, I would call and say, look, you forgot it. Because the deal, it's going to go sideways. It can go sideways anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't want cold water thrown on my house because after 3 days they realize it's not in there, and so they want to get out on a Form 17 or something, and then it goes back on the market, and everybody blames the house.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
I don't want that. For my seller.
Gosh, yeah.
I don't want cold water thrown all over this house or something
Totally.
stupid. So I'm going to call the other agent and say, hey, you forgot it, put it in. Included items, we talked about that. A lot of times when I'm writing an offer with somebody, if they're sitting here, I usually will say, we'll get back to the purchase price. I said, well, let's go through these other housekeeping. We'll circle back to price. And maybe even there is none. Right?
What do you do then?
They pay more attention because there's actually, the housekeeping things, there's stuff they need to understand.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
And even when I'm with a seller, if I get an offer, I go to the purchase price last. I said, let's look at this offer. Let's look at the good things about it. Right? I don't want you just to look at that. And so let's start on the back page. All right. Then let's get to this.
I like that this way. Yeah.
Yeah. So earnest money typically, is going to be either wired or a check. Typically, it's wired by the buyer. And how many days after mutual acceptance? Again, I don't want you guys taking a note. Notes are a thing of the past. Don't do it. Notes are worthless.
Normally check other and then check/wire.
Well, there's wire right there.
Oh, well, no, I'm just because Adam and Jay were like, just hit or check other and then input check/wire, so they can do either.
Or you can just check both.
Yeah.
Or again, if they say, look, we're going to be on vacation, we're not going to be back in town, so it's going to have to be 3 or 4 days, and you're just going to put it in there.
Yeah.
This is new. It was 2 days hookup by crook, or 3 days. If they give you 3 days, if they give you a check, it's actually 3 days. If they don't give you a check, it's 2 days. Right? And if they do give you a check, you got to give them a Form 89. Form 89 is just a receipt.
Okay.
You look at Form 89, it is nothing more than, and the listing agent has to have the Form 89 in their book, in their first money receipt. Right, that's it. So if you guys, or they take a check up front, Because this is what the deal well is only, they're considered about, they want money. Let's follow the trail of money. Who got what, when, where, the environmental license, money.
Yeah.
So they want to see you got the money, then you gave it, and then all of a sudden the title company will give you the receipt, right? If it goes directly to them, then they send you a copy of the receipt or they send it to you or whatever. You have to document money. All right? So you can, I mean, we're not even halfway, we're not even down, of course, we've gone down some bunny trails, but earnest money, okay, forfeiture, seller's election remedy, do you guys understand that?
Yeah, I always check forfeiture.
Do you understand it though, if they ask you, what does that mean? Forfeiture, well, what, not forfeiture, earnest money, what does that mean?
You operate outside of the contract.
Outside of script, so you exit outside of one of the contingencies in place in the offer.
Okay, but what's the difference between
And
forfeiture money and
seller's selection of remedies is they get to choose the remedy to you exiting out of contract off script, which could surpass your earnest money amount. And your earnest money amount can only be 5% of the purchase price, no matter how much you
max. Right here. Basically, in a nutshell, what I would tell the buyer is kind of what you said. You're right, Julian. But I would say we're gonna check this box because now what you and the seller are doing is you're pre-agreeing that if you guys exit the deal and you don't have a legal reason, in other words, you pass the inspection, that safety net's snapped, your financing is good because the docs are at closing, so we know that's good. And you say, I'm not buying it. Okay? You're pre-agreeing with this checkbox that this amount is the totality that the seller can receive in liquidated damages. They can't come after you.
It's a good way to put it, yeah. Pre-agreement. Yeah.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right. You know, we're not gonna walk away from those. Well, you'd be surprised. I'm dealing with an earnest money issue right now of $25,000.
Oh Jesus!
Buyer walk. They want it.
When did they walk?
3 days before closing. The seller's an attorney. And they're like, you ain't getting it back. And they're like, well, it was a bluff issues, and we didn't know it was so bad, and and you didn't disclose it, and seller's just saying, you had a chance to look at it, you had an inspection, you had all the opportunity in the world,
recently?
yeah, to raise your hand and say, and no deal. And so, yeah. But in that case, the 25,000 superseded the 5%. So really, only the seller can only keep 18,000.
Okay.
And it's 5% of the purchase price. It's not just willy-nilly 5%. All right, title company, closing agent, closing date. Again, you guys should have strong conversations with the loan officer before you write that in there. Because understand this, in this business, the seller is not obligated to give you 1 hour extension past midnight of the closing date. Because typically, they may give you one extension, the second one's going to cost the buyer money. They'll have to release their earnest money, they'll have to, extensions do not grow on trees. And that's what I tell loan officers. I said, I don't know about what's happening with you guys. You guys think fucking extensions grow on trees. Right? We're out here in the trenches. Sellers got 5 more buyers beating down the door. And you just think that because you're taking so long and the underwriter's on vacation and the appraisal took so long, that's why you need to call the loan officer and say, all right, Jim and Susie Smith, write an offer. What's the, 35 days should be safe.
Okay.
Unless maybe it's VA. Cash deals are different, but don't just, I'll be long out of this business and you guys will still keep pumping, but you just remember this: closing extensions do not grow on trees, and they will cost your buyer. They'll cost them the deal sometimes. What do you mean? All they need is 1 more day. Seller said, nope. I mean, I had one. It was about It was about 2 or 3 extensions in. Seller said, "No, I'm tired of you." Because, a lot of times throughout the transaction, it's a honeymoon, huggy and stuff, and then after you beat them up a little bit on the inspection, and then they go in 5 times to measure. Seller's kind of just tired of this buyer.
Yeah.
Happens a lot. And then now you're on bended knee asking me for something. Well, you know what? Screw you. That's why it's your job as agents to keep the emotions separate. If your client knows their client's an asshole, that's your fault because you're the one that told them that. Right? Yeah. And vice versa. If that listing agent, if that seller knows anything about this buyer, that's that listing agent's fault. Right? Loose lips sink ships. You gotta remain. That's what we're here for. Well, why wouldn't they just do for sale by owner? They don't need you.
Yeah.
You guys are there to buffer the emotions. Humans really are sporadic and unreasonable a lot of the time. And then you mix in a home, then you mix in money.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, come on now. Yeah, we get paid a lot of money, but you don't want to just keep going out there and letting the other side know, or your people know, what a jerk that listing agent is, and the seller is unreasonable. You guys are just stepping on your own arrows. Right?
But there's like strategic loose lips, right? Sometimes, like I'm working with this young Navy couple, and we wrote an offer on a house, and they wrote like a love letter, and I was just like, oh, this is...
Which are fair housing violations, just so you know.
A love letter?
Yeah.
I thought they have to give it to...
Love letters, they damage the seller more than anybody. If I'm a listing agent, a lot of times you'll see, don't give me a love letter, because then they could be accused of being racist, they could be accused of...
It's a letter to sell.
So don't do love letters at all.
What I would do is when you send your offer over in an email, you tell them how cool they are.
Which I've been doing.
But then there's a picture of the family and this and that. Well, yeah, families you're protected, race, color, religion, creed, all those things that love letters are a, matter of fact, Oregon just passed not only can you not do it, you actually get fined or something.
Is it like persuasion letters?
Kind of. Yeah, it's just like let me just picture of the young couple with the new baby, and then here's all about they moved here from the East Coast, and he currently got a job. And
we've gotten to other houses with love letters, so.
Yeah, love letters, but I wouldn't sauce it up too much in your email.
Yeah, but just like a little note. Okay, that's good to know.
I get on the phone 40 minutes later.
I
was like, son of a gun, on shooter. So I'm glad that one's on track, though. I was just trying to tackle all that.
That was a sweet one.
Now we're just going through the basics.
How's it going? Good?
Bunny trails after bunny trails. Bjorn's soaking it all in.
I know, I'm sure. I know. That's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Mackenzie's on. She's super talkative.
You like sleeping? Are you sleeping, Mackenzie?
No, I'm here.
Gosh, that's crazy. That's so crazy. Are you guys getting questions answered?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tons.
This is great. Yeah, this is.
What's your big takeaway?
No love letters. No escalation clause.
Escalation clauses can be sloppy. Yeah, that's the biggest one.
Highest and best for sure.
Yeah.
What if you know that you're competing against
right
one
now.
other offer? If you're competing against one other offer where the escalation clause might not be so messy because it's just you and another offer. It's not like 10 offers, right? Would you recommend it as a buyer broker doing it in that case, right? Because then like I was saying before,
Well, talk to the listing agent. What do you think that
right now I'm not seeing escalations, and I like highest and best, and that's usually me. Because I agree with you, it's sloppy as hell, and most people don't understand what it is. Like I just had one where I had an agent write on a property, and she took her commission off, which rightfully so. That's what you do when you're buying your own house. You don't have to pay taxes on your own commission. You just take back the price.
the net.
And to explain that to even the seller was extremely hard. Like they just didn't get it. And then they got
Mhm.
another
So, yeah.
offer, and then they're like, well, are we going to take the commission off this one too? You know, and I'm like, no,
They're
that was,
not buying it
they're not
for
buying,
themselves.
yeah, so it's very confusing, you know, and that happens with an escalation clause too. It's like
But if you
start
just go to
messing-
a seller's net proceeds and print them out.
Yeah, I know, which I sat on the phone and explained it to him, and I had to do that before when people
Mhm.
really didn't get it. I'm like, look, here's without the commission, here's with the commission, you can see
Right.
how much extra money you're making. They're just taking it off the price.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
But it can
So-
get messy for a seller.
Well, and the big
Mhm.
sales job that you would do on that is to say, hey, look, you're paying less closing costs too. You're paying less excise tax.
And that's what I told them. I said,
You know,
overall, you're saving.
you're actually saving money a little
Saving
bit,
money.
a couple
Well,
of bucks or whatever.
And you're
but-
paying less on my commission too, because the price is reduced by their commission.
Yeah, well, you
But
just
the
show
thing
them
is,
that.
yeah,
yeah.
it's just a numbers game.
Mhm.
So, and the same thing goes for the escalations. They're just messy, and you get like 3 of them in there, and I don't like them. I don't like to use them.
They, you know, and I told these guys, I said, listen, I'll have even experienced agents argue with me, but I know I'm right. And the
Yeah.
escalation clause, most of the time, damage the seller. They hurt the seller. It says
Yeah,
because it says, Mr. Buyer, I'll pay this, but I only had to pay this.
Here's-
Well, who loses out on that?
Here's what I'm watching happen with escalations too right now is the market is just shifting. The buyers are freaking emotional as hell right now. I mean, it's bad. Like, did you look the other day? There were 6 that flopped. 6 that flopped. We had in office 5 here in the last, week.
Mm-hmm.
So the buyers are freaking. Like,
They are
I mean, they're freaking out. And so trying to establish calm demeanors, and I'm like, it's never set in stone right now because you're getting stuff, and then people are escalating, and then they're freaking out. Like, I had that on Jefferson. I had like 6 offers in the first 48 hours, 100,000 over list, and we tried to accept one, then that one back, the other one back, and then they didn't want to pay it. So it was just interesting to see the fear of the escalation too. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of an uncertainty too, knowing like,
Yeah, but showings are Skagit. Showings are down 30. And this is a fact. They're down 30% from 3 months ago. Showings. And again,
but I
it's
think
not
it's
a bad
summer.
thing.
I think it's also summer.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I think it's COVID year 2,
Mm-hmm.
and people were pent up over last year.
I forgot my mask, by the way.
I don't know what to talk about. My daughter's in quarantine
last
right
time
now.
when we were in
Like,
here,
oh my
Kelly
god.
she said, if you ever come here with a mask, you're in trouble.
Sign the waiver here. Oh my god.
Masks will not be permitted here.
I know.
So you know, I mean, I think that you need to kind of explain to them because you don't want them to go out to dinner with their friends and their friends say, hey, did you guys use an escalation clause? And they said, well, Julian never told us about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh God, you could save a lot of money using one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you want to have a conversation with them,
So true.
Yeah.
but you also, I'm with Kelly. You know, Delisa had a listing, and she had 3 offers, and one kind of bubbled up, but their escalation said they paid $485, house in Sun Valley, but the only escalation only pushed them to about $460.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the seller said, I'll take $460. Delisa's like, not so fast.
So they
Right?
Yeah.
Pump the brakes. Give me 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Well, are you sure? Yeah, just hang on. So she sends it back to the 2 top and says, all right, seller says, ditch the escalation, highest and best. Let's see it. And let's
Yeah.
see, 2288.
Mhm.
She got $25,000 more out of them
In 12 hours.
in 12 hours. And her sellers were willing to take $460. So what does that? And a lot of agents won't. They'll just say, all right, fine, just sign up for $460.
And not go
They'll
the
just
extra
take-
mile.
They'll
I know.
but that creates goodwill. That creates a lot of positive referrals. Da 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 da.
Yeah,
No doubt about
they
it.
do. They're
Yeah.
raving fans. They give you several other clients when you escalate
Yeah,
like that too.
Gave him 25
Now let me
more.
ask you this: Did this listing agent cover her 6% that they argued about over the kitchen table?
Did she cover her 6%? The deal fell apart.
No, it didn't. No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Lisa. Now when you were
Oh,
That's the
Oh,
whole
you mean
point. That's why I
delete-
hired
yeah,
an
like-
agent.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
why.
That's the argument.
Well, because
there.
they understand the market. Because the other thing too is a lot of FSBOs leave so much money on the table.
That's the
So, well, I just have one too. So I laughed. My in-laws, Patty, like I saw all their houses too. They own a lot of rentals. They bought pick up a ton during when the market was down.
Never killing
She's awesome. But so and then my other Lang that owns the glass ended up putting theirs on Zillow as a FSBO.
And then Patty went and argued with her husband, Steve, and said, no, I'm just going to use Kelly. I don't want to deal with all the stress. I don't want to deal with all the showings. I don't want to deal with it. And I told her, I said, you know, it's funny that Larry's wife put it on Zillow and sold it. I said, but she probably left about $30,000-$40,000 on the table. I said, don't tell her that, but it's true. You know, I said, it's true because you worked on it herself, where yours will get a higher price tag because one, she doesn't tour houses all the time. She doesn't see homes. She doesn't see the market. She doesn't understand what's happening. And she's just putting it on and doing it herself.
The higher the exposure, the higher the price. And that's
Yeah.
what I tell everybody. And also, yeah, Zillow's got good exposure. Doesn't have the exposure a real estate agent does, right? Because we have so many different spokes that once it goes into multiple, it's just like exposure city. But also, the agents have the buyers. So once it goes into multiple, all my comrades now who are toting around 4, 5, 6 buyers, multiply that in this area by, I don't know, 500 agents, now see that they're going to make a little bit of money if they sell your house, as opposed to Zillow. Yeah, you're losing money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so closing date. We're right on closing date, and I told these guys if they don't call their loan officer and have a conversation about this, they are crazy.
I am the biggest advocate, especially on the buyer side. You use your loan officer to a T all the time. If you're not asking the questions, you're not the seasoned agent. You're not doing your job. What's the closing costs? Don't leave money on the table for your clients. It's the stupidest thing. What day are we going to be able to close this? What's the interest rate going to be? And that's why you can either control the situation or your client can control the situation.
Or the other agent.
Yeah, or they'll bulldoze you. So it's like you get the quote. Don't let them get the quote. You find out for them. I always say, hey, Scott, perfect credit, VA loan, what's the closing cost? $400,000, taxes are XYZ. I want that to go to my client so they can see that I did my job, and now they can see the difference. Now, if they're going to go, oh my God, this is a way better rate, a way better closing cost, then at that point, I'm going to say, show me what you're getting. Because sometimes they're like, oh, well, the rate's so much lower. Well, then at that point, you can look at the closing costs and see the closing costs are now $8,000 higher. They're paying to buy that rate down, but they don't understand that. Right. I mean, and that's a lot of people. They do not understand.
If you ask what the interest rate is without asking the fee, you're only getting half the equation. That's why they have APR, right? Annual percentage rate. That's why by law they have to disclose the APR. That's why you see APR on car loans, right? So APR is a combination of the two. Right? Oh, we'll get you.
Navy Federal USA is notorious for that. Oh my God! Like Mariah had one, and she was just up in arms. She tried to push him to Scott. The closing costs were going to be $6,000 by the time, and they were like, no, we're Navy Federal, and Navy Federal, and Navy Federal. Well, by the time they got to closing, and they couldn't do anything about it, and Navy Federal was charging them like $18,000 for that rate. It was insane. It's too late. You know, you're homeless. You're 2 days out. So be proactive, not reactive. This is the first thing I do. I pick somebody up at an open house. I'm texting Scott, 450, excellent credit, VA, give me what you got. Awesome. Look at what we can do, right? So I'm doing that on the go. You've always got to be on the go, getting the information you need. And by the time you ask several times, you're going to know basically what it's at for the week. For the most part, the rates dipped down yesterday a little bit too. So, and if I don't know, I want to text and find out, hey, Mary, and get updates from Scott, finding out, you know, what median price is over and over, $500,000. Give me the VA rate. I want to know just because I know median price point. But that's super important to me. Now, if you're competing, and you always want to make sure that you're asking the other agent closing date and possession. I mean, you're communicating with the lender and you're communicating with the other agent to find out what they want. Like Jay, this morning at 7:15 this morning, he's texting me, he goes, 45-day close or 60-day close? Would they want to run back in? He's asking you right away. That's what you want to be doing, you know, because you want to find out the insights of what the other client wants, especially if you're competing, you know.
Right. The more like I have to think back to when I started. I was on these guys. God was a little boy. But the one thing that I got super proficient at is I almost couldn't be a loan officer. I got really, really good because slick loan officers will try to bullshit you. They'll try to bullshit their client. And you know what? They're not going to bullshit you if you know and you can talk their language. So if there's a lender class, or like Kelly said, you know, hey, can I take you to lunch? Can you, how does this work again? And just keep doing that. You're not going to get it all in one day. Rome wasn't built in a day, but really, if
you can negotiate with a lender.
So
let's be very clear. You can negotiate with a lender.
So I'm curious.
Most people don't understand that.
When you say you can speak their language and you can negotiate with the lender, like under what circumstance, like are you referring to? I guess like an example.
So let me give you an example.
Yeah.
My client goes to USA and then he goes to Scott Fromey and Envoy. USA says, okay, fine. 3% loan rate. Scott's at 3.25, and we have a estimated HUD from the bank saying, or what is it called? Good faith estimate. A good faith estimate. It was a good faith estimate, basically saying, here's what we're charging you. Here's the interest rate. If I can get it from Navy Federal and pass it over, and I can say, hey Scott, you almost got the deal. Can you take this from 3.25 to 3.3%, and your closing costs are lower? And he's going to say, yeah. He might be able to say, yeah, I can do it.
Well, but here's the thing. Also, taking one more step. It's not called good faith. Let's just say good faith. Now? It's called a
loan commitment. No, it's not a loan commitment.
Let's just say good faith.
Good faith, because that's all I know.
It used to be. So the law requires the loan officer to give the buyer a good faith estimate. Right? Here's your cost. Here's the reserves. And this is what you're going to do. But now here's we're going to go one more. It doesn't require it to be accurate.
But within a certain percentage.
Yeah, but that percentage can really clear the deal or freak the buyer out. Maybe a couple $1,000.
So it's a rather large percentage.
So what I would tell a loan officer is.
Have you guys seen these before? Good faith estimates?
I've never seen one.
You have to see this. You guys, because this is what your clients get.
Yeah.
And so it gives them the quote of what they're getting. You need to see that for sure.
I've never, should I just ask Scott if I, have a client who's working with them?
No, a lot of times they don't want to disclose.
Yeah, you don't get that. You just get it for yourself. Just say, I'm applying for a loan. Can you send us an example of good faith estimate? Either a screenshot via text or via email to all the buyer's agents, please.
Yeah, so you want to have a conversation with that loan officer and say, hey, listen, I just want to know how close are we on this thing? Are the reserves going to inflate? But so I don't want these, because these guys are a little bit nervous, Nelly. I don't want them freaking out. When they start signing this stuff, and they pull that thing out of the purse and they compare it, and it's off. Okay, they're pretty close usually.
Yeah,
but
Okay. But that's doing your job, is understanding that, you guys, because you then understand if your clients are getting ripped off or not. I mean, it's very, very apparent. And if you want to be the trusted advisor that has your clients back, you also have it in that arena as well, in my opinion.
Loan officers make double the money on VA deals. And so those are the ones, they make bang.
Really?
Yeah. So that's where, typically on a VA deals where you're going to see the shafting.
Okay.
And so a lot of these guys are just, they got to license this deal. People are just happy they're getting into a house. Right? They qualify, they're happy to get in, and they'll they make a lot of money.
And when you mean shafting, like how?
They'll inflate the fees, or they'll again, you shop, money's everywhere. That's what I tell buyers. I say, shop for money like you shop for cars. Just go to Frontier because you want a Ford truck. Shop around. Right?
Yeah.
You walk into, Savvy or Bank Pacific and say, this is what we can do. Great. It's always the ones with great credit that shop the hell out of you. The ones with not so great credit, you mean they don't go anywhere.
I'll take
it. And those are the ones that kind of get beat up and shop.
That's tough.
Rate and fee is all credit driven.
All they care about, what is my payment? Let's be honest. What's my payment, right?
Yeah.
You see, they don't care what they're paying somebody, but they should, right? They should.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So closing date, 22K.
If you are a contingent sale, you put 22B in there. Why?
C22B.
Because you close within 3 days of closing on their contingent sale. Okay. Now, if you want to close sooner, you've got to have agreed upon time frame to close sooner. 1 day after, 2 days after, if both parties are on board with that. But I have had to use that in the past. I almost had to use that the other day because the gal couldn't get it.
Wait, can you explain that again?
Okay, let's just say you have a house in Seattle, okay, and your buyer's contingent, okay, and they close tomorrow on their contingent sale. And tomorrow is what?
Well, that would be a 22Q.
Yeah, but if it was, well, then let's say they've got under contract. Well,
That's
this
a
one here.
22Q.
But this is a 22B. They close within 3 days of closing on their.
Yeah, so a 22B right here is, we don't have a buyer yet. So we don't know when we're going to close. So how can you put a closing date in there? That's why you say C22B, because it says right here, closing step 4 shall supersede. Oh, right. So it says.
It's within 3 days.
It says it's.
Let's see here. No.
Plans on the market.
Go up. Hold on.
No, you're right. It does say it. It says.
Here, right, 3 days. It's a sale of
Right,
property will close within 3 days of closing. So it's if you have a 22B and they're not under contract, you still have to figure they're going to close within 30 days. Once you get the contract, you send it to the other agent, and now you know the closing date for that sale. Then you know, okay, it closes tomorrow, and then you close within 3 days on the purchase of their home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you wanted to close a day earlier or 2 days and not the 3, you've got to make sure all parties are on board. Okay, you can't just.
So it is the 22B and the set of addendums that come with it. Annie Fitzsimmons will even.
That's
tell you.
why
They're the most complicated.
But I also die when somebody puts a date in there, because I think
No.
it's stupid to put a date in there. Do not put, if you have a 22B,
Well,
they haven't sold their house, do not put a date in the closing.
and they often do put a
purchase and sale
date in, but look, the closing date set forth in the supersede. So if they put a date in there, it doesn't matter. This controls. If a 22B is in the transaction, it controls the deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Kelly's right. So once it closes, because I don't know when the house is going to close, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have 3 days to close.
And that's what I always tell my sellers. So when we get one that's pending contingent on the sale of the house, I said, we don't know the closing date yet. We don't know our time frame.
Well, often escrow agents will say, well, when's the closing? You don't have a closing date on
Nobody knows. Well, and then what gets even more confusing is when an agent does put a closing date on there and has this in here, now, and the other agent thinks it's closing on that date. And that's not true.
And then the seller thinks that they have to go through me to get an extension. No. It says right there, this addendum supersedes the closing date on page 1. That's why we call this a floating closing date, right?
The 22.
The 3 days floats.
But not if you're pending
Well, that's
on
different.
the other house. It's a totally different scenario. So if they're under contract on their house in Seattle, they have a signed around purchase and sale agreement. You've given that to the other agent. Now we know when we're going to close.
Right, it's right here. Oh, shit.
Right? So let's say it says on there you're closing 30 days from now on their Seattle house. Well, then they probably want to close on this one within a couple days of closing on the Seattle house, just to make sure they've got the funds and they've been wired to the appropriate escrow.
So this is the form you would use if they already have a deal on their house.
Okay.
And you have to ask these questions. I need a copy of your purchase and sale agreement. Okay, you're telling the buyer this. Who's your agent? I'm getting their agent's contact information, and I'm calling him. Hey, it's Kelly Lane here. I'm working with the buyer ABC. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm going to be helping him purchase a house here in Anacortes. I wanted to ask you a couple questions. Number one, have you made it through a home inspection? Have you made it through an appraisal? Do you foresee any hiccups? How strong does the buyer look on the other side? Are they cash? Are they financing? I want to know all this stuff, because then I can go back to the listing agent and say, hey, look, I have the purchase and sale agreement. They're pending, rock solid. They've made it through the appraisal. We're closing within X amount of time. The buyer's a cash buyer. Cool. I'm going to go back to my seller now and relay the good news of like, hey, this is a rock solid client.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if I hear hiccups like, okay, it's brand new pending, they haven't made it through inspection, you know, what does that look like? Like Adam just had one flipped on View Ridge that was condo, and I'm like, Adam, call the freaking agent. I need more information. I said, why isn't it back on the market? Why are they waiting to make the repair? Just get it back on the market and let's get it moving forward again so they can start getting other bites on it. So I'm asking a ton of questions as the listing agent. Why? Because I'm trying to protect my clients
Like with Skinner,
on this. The same thing. That's why I'm hounding when I know it's a bridge loan and there's 2 appraisals that need to be done, and I know that's 2 strikes against me because of the fact that what if one of those appraisals doesn't come in?
Pass through
And I'm going, that's why I kept going, Julian, how are the appraisals? How are the appraisals?
I had her email you as soon as
I called Sarah. I said, Sarah, is this a 1 appraisal deal or is this a 2 appraisal deal? Because I know it's twice as hard for everybody, you know?
Statistical probability. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
Again, though, if you're gonna write, and this we could teach a class on the 22 Bs.
To be honest, yeah, I know.
This-
I'm like,
this
wow, this
really-
is dense. Yeah.
But understand that, and the property may be in Texas, right?
Mhm.
It may be in California, right? So you need to have a conversation with that agent if you're going to enter into this deal, that listing agent,
Mhm.
that, okay, just so you know, we're going to put forth an addendum that covers them, but there's some gutter guards that have to go up, and you need to understand them. And the number one is you can't take an offer that closes quicker than 30 days or is subject to another house being sold, or
Permission.
their buyers, what does it say, they're in default, or they lose
And
this?
I will tell you, people do not understand that, okay? Like, we had an offer come in, Adam caught it, it was on Terrace. She didn't disclose it was pending on a home sale. Now, you're in trouble if you don't know this. This is why you have to understand your client, what's happening behind the scenes. Okay, do you need a loan? Are you cash? Are you relying on sale or funds from a sale closing? You need to know that. Because if you don't know that and then you write a non-contingent offer pending upon financing and didn't disclose that it was pending on a home sale for their funds, we're in a problem. Alana did that one time, I remember that. I could tell stories about all these scenarios because I've been there. So you have to understand your whole client scenario. And when I say cash, what is cash? Okay, what does cash mean to you too? It's like liquid funds in an account.
U.S.
Not tied to the stock market, not tied to a CD that doesn't get dispersed like a month later,
Right.
2 months later.
So Annie has a really good scenario, and this is how you remember. If there's anything other than a bank teller standing in the way of your client and their money, then it's contingent. Just remember that. And, I can liquidate the stock. That's not a bank teller.
Yep.
Right? If there's anything other than a bank teller, it's contingent. Hook or by crook. Right? You can put that on the 22EF. But it says right here. So if this buyer has a house in Texas that they're selling, and that agent took a cash deal that closed sooner than 30 days or longer than 60, and or has another contingent home, if either of these scenarios happen, seller can terminate the deal and keep the earnest money. So if you didn't call that agent and say, we got some gutter guards in place up here that you have to follow, and just so you know, don't do either one of these. Send it to them. Just send it. Say, hey, read
You
paragraph
gotta have
2.
all the facts. That's just the way I look at it. You gotta be a fact finder.
It says right there, buyer accepts an offer without seller's written consent. Seller shall have 3 days to terminate the agreement. Blah, blah, blah. Seller's termination, buyer shall be in default, and seller shall be entitled to the remedies. Right? There you go. You don't want to get there. Also, this is more for listing agents. It says right here, 45 days if not filled in. So if it's not filled in, they have 45 days to get their house under contract. That's all. They don't have to sell it. They just have to get it under contract. It doesn't have those two items, right? 45 days? Are you kidding me?
That's a long time.
I won't do
I
it.
tell
That's
sellers,
my
it's a
bad.
20 or 30 days you need to plug in there. That's it.
No, not in this market.
But also, and Kelly's, I'm sure, aware, if you have 30 days in there and they take a deal on day 29, and right here they take an offer with 59 days, 29 and 59 and all my calculator, that's how long the buyer has, and there is not a darn thing the seller can do about it because they agreed to it.
Exactly. She's been in there since 9:30. I have no idea. So it's okay. I'm sure she's been gone now since it's been about an hour. It's
Who?
okay. Oh, there was another guy that was supposed to jump in. So,
Okay, well,
So-
I mean, we could do a whole class on this.
yeah, that's a whole class on it too. It's crazy. But you guys, you've got to ask the questions because the other question I ask as a buyer's agent, knowing, okay, there's a Seattle agent that I referred him to, they're representing him as CDOM. What's the condition of this property? Is it good? Does it show well? Is it decorated nice? Is it going to sell quick? Is it a dump? Does it need a new roof? Does
Show
it
me
have
the comps.
septic
Houses in
problems?
Texas. Show me your CMA.
Yeah, and so that I want to know that because do I know if this deal's gonna? Am I spinning my wheels, wasting time on something that's not going to happen? Do you know what I mean? I want to know that. So, and the other thing I'm doing is CDOM. CDOM. How many other houses are on the market? Consecutive days on market for Texas, Seattle, wherever the markets. I don't know. I have no idea. is median price point 300,000 and they're coming in at 700 and it's not going to sell? You know, I want to know that. Are they priced to sell? Are they priced too high based upon your price opinion? Those are all the questions that I'm asking this other agent on a contingent home sale to make sure that I'm informed going into this, knowing, hey, we got a good probability or we have a bad probability that this is going to go through.
As a listing agent, I would always look at, if somebody came to me with a contingent offer, that's bird in the hand, bird in the bush, right? It's still for sale in the multiple, right? Because it's contingent, you can get bumped.
Yeah.
But it does slow traffic down. Let's face it, it does slow traffic down. I would always look at the house that's selling or the one that they have to sell, and I would say, which one's more sellable? Which one is more sellable? Because
I see what you're saying.
If I'm the listing agent and it's been shown 30 times and it's been on the market for 40 days, versus 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, double car garage listed for $350, no carver.
Yeah.
Maybe I do want to hitch the horse. Which one's more sellable?
Yeah, the 350. Yeah, I see what you're
Because
saying.
obviously at the price we're looking at right here, and often too for sellers, they get a little bit more in price because they know that the buyer's kind of on bended knee saying, you know, we really like to ask them to sell ours. They'll usually step up a little bit in price. Don't you notice that, Kelly?
Yeah, no, totally.
Not a ton, but they'll step up a little in price because Delisa had this one deal where she had a condo since years ago in Mount Vernon, and it was a contingent, everything moving along. The people had a house in Seattle to sell. Wasn't selling. And so another thing too is you don't have any control as a listing agent. So you need to lower the price. No, I don't have to. No. Look, you got 45 days or 30 days. You got 15 more. Look, no, they don't have to.
The thing I always ask is, what's the plan for price reductions?
Right.
You know, when I hear CDOM, then I say, okay, you know, if the house is in Seattle and it's supposed to sell in 7 days or under, then I'll say, okay, if it doesn't go to 7 days, and this is you asking them, then what's your plan to do price reductions? Are the sellers on board with being aggressive with price reductions?
Well, she had one where they came back to her and said, our house in Seattle isn't selling, so, and she's like, lower the price. Well, okay, we'll lower it 10 grand, but you have to lower the price of the house we're buying 10 grand.
Yeah, no.
And the seller said,
What?
F you.
Yeah, no way.
No, we're not, just because.
So, and this is why you want to ask the questions, you guys, because you have to determine if the buyer is actually motivated on the house that they're selling. If they're not, then don't spin your wheels, you know?
Totally.
So, yeah, I mean, this, again, these
I gotta go to a harbor.
We'll keep going.
Okay, cool.
I've got
Was this being recorded too?
I think so.
Okay, I hope so. All right. Good show with Allison then, who was like, I know, I've got a couple there today too. It's a busy market, you gotta stay with it though, right? All right, guys, keep learning. Live the dream.
Heck yeah, later, Kelly.
All right, see you.
PERPTA, we don't need to go into that. PERPTA really doesn't have a lot of, or charges and assessments. Sorry. 22Q. So here's one thing I want you guys to understand on the 22Q. 22K. You guys know what that is?
Utilities.
Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
What this is what we call a housekeeping form. However, they need you're supposed to have the address and phone number, right? Water district, garbage. You know, typically SSC, PSC, escrow is cool with that.
Okay.
You don't have to. However, what this form does is it basically gives the authorization for escrow to contact these utility companies, get the balance, so that they can work it out on the closing date that this is such and such a date, we're going to prorate the balance. I think they charge $35 or something.
Oh, to prorate the balance.
It gives them authorization to call, because, you know, those utility companies won't just talk to you.
Yeah.
This form gives them that. Now, here's the thing you guys need to understand as buyer's agents, because I see this all the time. You just have your buyer sign it, you have it filled out here, have your buyer sign it, ship it off in the deal. With nothing in here. And the problem with that is, seller signs it, gets shipped to escrow, nothing in here, they don't do that. They don't do a thing. So now, right? Now that you get the closing statement, there's no utilities that are prorated. Some of those are lienable to the new buyer. And guess who did not put PSE or SSE I think it's the garbage that's in them. They got a $400 outstanding balance. Guess what? Escrow never called because they didn't have to. Because buyer's agent never put the utility company in.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I saw one of the deal I just did. They attached a 22K in the documents, but with nothing filled out and just their initials down below. So then I filled it in when I sent it over to my buyers. But
I mean,
is that common?
They're sloppy.
Oh, that's what it. Okay. I just was curious. I was like, why did they sign it but not fill in anything?
I mean, most agents won't even put it in the documents.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that can be in the document that listing agents don't do. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'll tell listing agents, I tell agents all the time. If you want to be a pro and you want to make the money that you think you're worth, act like a pro, right?
Yeah.
Get all of these things signed, uploaded, so that all your comrades out there can roll up on a Sunday and write a complete offer. Short of that, you're not a pro.
Yeah.
Right? I want every document possible on a Sunday afternoon. You're writing it up. You're downloading this. You're downloading the lead-based paint. Yeah. You're downloading all these little housekeeping forms that are gonna be in the deal. Guess what? They're already in the deal. Right? They're already signed by your seller. So Breezy's writing it up. Already signed. We don't have to go back and forth now. It's done. Right? So I just said, you want to be a pro? That's what you need to do. And you know what? You guys are looking at attached documents and you see an agent with that, you know you're dealing with a pro. Right? I remember one time my wife wrote an offer on Charlene's listing years ago. And you know what? Guess who trained my wife? So Charlene said, literally, I got that offer, and she said, I didn't even know your wife. She said, I looked over that thing, and I was intimidated. I said, really? She's like, she had every single box checked. She had everything done to the T. And she's like, I have to admit, I was intimidated.
Really?
You know?
Wow.
So you know what, you guys, your job is to intimidate.
Just know your shit. Yeah.
She said, I was intimidated. And I said, well, you should be. Because I don't do that. She said, I said, you should. Well, and Charlene had been in the business. I mean, she came over. She was 6 years in American Dream. She came over. We hired her probably 5 years ago. And for probably 2 years, she'd go, they never taught us that. I didn't know I needed to do that. She goes, how did I not end up in court? I'd be like, I don't know. I didn't. She's like, Leonard never, we didn't know that. We didn't know this. I'm supposed to do that. Like you get these companies around here, they have zero training. They run around, they think they can write deals up on cocktail napkins and everything's fine. Mostly those old-time Oak Harbor agents. Yeah. I mean, they're just, handshake. And a lot of times it does work, but come on, man.
Leaving yourself pretty liable.
Yeah, a lot of exposure. All right.
It's kind of good to know that there's some sloppy people out there. It's just like, oh, cool.
Well, it is, but then you're also going to find out you're doing more than 50% of the work.
It's like very good, positive scare about.
Yeah.
Really not
No. Yeah. Exactly.
What?
Like,
this training?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just knowing, like, hey, you can be better than a lot of the field by just knowing.
Well,
stuff,
it is. But listen, you get big checks, you got big problems. That's what I always tell people. You're going to get a $15,000 check in 30 days, and you screwed up. You want little problems? Go to a Safeway.
Yeah.
And stock shelves.
Yeah.
Right? This business, that's why if you're in business 2 years or less, you have somebody look over your forms. Yeah. That didn't used to be like that. It used to be one broker in charge of the whole flock. Now they have a broker and then a managing broker if they're underneath the team. So it kind of, doesn't put all the, like me, doesn't put all the onus on designated broker. And, that's fine. But big checks, big problems. You're a problem solver. That's what you do. You have to lean into problems. If there's a problem, don't run away from it. You'll find agents that run away from it. Like, you have to lean into it. You are a problem solver. That's what you are. A traffic cop and a problem solver. With a good attitude. And a psychologist. And a taxi driver. Okay, so we got the 22Q, and so here's all the different addendas, kind of winding up. I got to be down there at close to 11. But What I want you guys to do, if there's any homework, is you got to read through. It's only 5 pages, but understand computation of time.
Yeah.
How does that work? If any day falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or legal holiday, it pushes forward to the next business day. Right? We got a deal signed around on Monday, Tuesday, 1, Wednesday. Day 5 ends on Saturday. Guess what?
Monday.
Pushes forward to Monday.
It's Labor Day.
That's why a lot of times if you're writing an offer and you put on the inspection 5 days, it's really 7, almost
Yeah, but
90% of the time.
it looks better.
So it looks better, but if you put 6,
Then you have 6 days
then
total.
it would fall on Sunday on that deal. Right, not Monday, because it's calendar days.
Yeah.
5 days or more are calendar, 5 days or less. You gotta just the only thing that is if it falls. Let's see, and it says right there the only exception is closing days.
That's such a good point. That's so funny. I didn't just thinking about that. 6 days can be less than 5 business days. Just weird to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's or legal holiday. If Monday is July 4th, then it goes to Tuesday. And so you'll get a lot of pushback from agents that just do not know how to computate time. Sorry, the only exception is possession date. Okay. That's the only exception.
Okay.
If possession date fell on Saturday, Saturday's possession date.
Okay.
It doesn't push forward. So it's right here. Saturday, Sunday, unless otherwise specified in the agreement, any period of time measured in days stated in the agreement shall be the day following the event commenced. The period shall expire at 9 p.m. of the last calendar day of the specified time period. Right? In our day, it would have been Saturday, push forward to except for possession date. If the last day is Saturday, Sunday, or legal holiday, then it pushes forward 1 day.
Or you look at your own computational time.
Yeah. So just remember, possession date is possession date. It does not go anywhere.
But closing gets pushed if it's on a Saturday.
Well, yeah, I mean, but also, you want to look at a calendar, because if you write closing date on a Saturday, and come Monday, you either have to get a bunch of extensions signed, and the seller says, I ain't closing.
Yeah.
Guess who didn't pull out their calendar when they wrote the deal?
You did.
Right? You
Nice
willy-nilly picked September 30th, and lo and behold, you got 2 out of 7 chances it's going to be.
I don't know who would be
I mean, that's what's 2 out of 7. I mean, what's that? 35%, 30%,
Yeah.
20%.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big percentage.
Yeah.
Pull out a calendar.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not on your birthday. Actually, I always wanted the day after my birthday off.
Actually,
Yeah.
the night before is so much fun.
I know. Yeah.
I'll work on my birthday. It's
Day
on
after.
the
Day after.
Morning after. I'm not too sure about that one.
All right. What questions you guys got? The cup runneth over.
Oh gosh.
Yarn, you ready to teach this class?
Yeah. I'm glad I was here.
Yeah.
Here's the deal: is you realize what you realize what you don't know, and then that's just a natural progression. It's just your consciously subconscious kind of deal.
Totally.
You know what you don't know, and then a lot of times you don't know what you don't know.
That's kind of what happened when I first started. I was like, I don't
You
know.
didn't know what he doesn't know.
Ask. Yeah, I have no idea.
And then now you guys know what you don't know. He doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right?
I just don't know.
Oh,
Mackenzie, you're lying.
Yeah, Mackenzie doesn't know what she doesn't know.
I've been coughing the whole time I'm sick, so I didn't want to have you guys
Oh
talk.
We don't
no.
want COVID coming through the airwaves.
Mackenzie, when's your wedding?
When is it?
Yes.
It's the 18th.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I have
That's
strep
more
and an ear infection right now, so.
Oh, those are the worst.
What's that?
Well, that's exciting. Are you ready? Is everything situated?
It's getting there. Just a bunch of little details now.
Well,
Yeah,
right on.
take a couple, right?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, right on.
Feel better,
Put it in
Mackenzie?
your car.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Let me know. You too.
You never know.
Blake,
when
thank
you're
you
gonna
so
get a
much for
deal
going
in
through
your
this.
hand.
This is
Yeah, you
always
guys-
super helpful.
Yeah,
Well, you know, if you got questions, call me.
Yeah.
Trust me,
I'd
I'm
love
not
to.
afraid to.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he's pretty good. Jay,
Okay.
he doesn't really call me that much anymore.
Okay.
Figured it out.
I'll
He figured it out
I'll
pretty
do
quick.
Yeah. That's
You know, nothing,
good.
listen, nothing is going to get you anywhere more than experience. You can have 2 PhDs and sit right there and you're not understanding. Yeah.
See, that's what,
Yeah.
you know, like we go over these forms when I first started. It was like hard for me to even like grasp it until like I actually was in it and had people helping me walk
It's just a
up
fog.
Yeah.
And you know, and you gotta know who you're asking the questions to. Right?
Yeah.
Just don't. I mean,
Totally.
listen, if I want directions, I'm gonna ask the giraffe who's coming down the road, not the turtle. Right?
Totally,
You guys have to have a little intuition.
Yeah.
All right,
I see
cool.
what you mean. Gosh, thanks,
Thanks,
Blake.
Blake.
I really appreciate it.
All right, bro.
You learned something, Horn?
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just gonna have to go and read about those.
Here you guys.
See you later,
Bye,
Blake.
Blake.
Thank you.
Keep the fireball undercover until I get out of here.
Oh. That's so good. Oh my gosh.
Dude, my phone's still in the store.
Does it not?
It literally says, contact your carrier. I was at the store for 3 hours yesterday,
That's so messed
and they still
up.
could not help me. So bad.
God. Any offers you've been doing or what?
I might have one today.
Really?
I'm going to look at the one that just came on the market this morning, the Anacortes one.
Which one?
It's on for like $480.
In Anacortes and Avenue?
No, I looked at that one. I kind of like that one.
I do too. I haven't gone inside it, but it looks
It's
nice from
cute.
the pictures.
It's really
Yeah.
cute.
What was the other one? That went Oh, St. Louis Drive. Oh. Wow.
Don't steal from me. These poor people have lost like 2 houses.
Oh gosh.
They're my cute baby couple. I'm like, please get them a house.
Oh gosh. Well, hey Bjorn, what are you doing?
Going outside to sneeze.
What? No, this is a sneeze zone. You didn't know that?
Yeah, we accept all sneezers.
We accept all sneezers.
No, I'm
Tell me about the short squeeze. Yeah, I knew about the short squeeze, dude.
Thomas, how was your birthday?
Like a bull shark, man. Like a bottom feeder. What's up, Kelly?
Jesus, Julian, you are the last person that needs coffee.
You think?
I do not think that was good.
What? I love coffee. I was like wired during that whole thing. I was like, this is great. Just what I needed. Just what I needed. Yes. Just gets my ADHD,
Get you going?
ADHD on another level, you know?
I mean, it's not a good. I don't know.
What's pissing you off?
My allergies.
Oh,
Non-stop, like.
yeah.
So what's the verdict? How you feeling?
Dude, I still don't have a working phone.
Are you doing better? You hit rough bottom. You bouncing a little?
I'm
You up like 2% right now?
I'm up like, yeah, maybe like 5
That's
even.
cool,
I don't want to be too generous, but
Good
you know,
bounce.
doing
Good bounce.
fine. Yeah.
As long as you're bouncing.
How are you, Hoa?
Doing good.
Yeah, great.
Doing good. Morning.
So the commandant is expecting to be moved by the basically like the so they do not keep walking into the house, right? So there's a couple of things that we got with the name down. And they're just like, what's that? He's like, what?
Bounce around. Yeah, I think so. I think I might have taken a couple. My bad. Sit down. My bad.
And we're showing the new
Yes.
James from Backbreaker cell number, personal cell number, that 360-929.
Yeah, let me check the contacts on this phone real quick if I have. So 929-9723. Yeah.
They started asking me questions about it.
That does not give you a warm fuzzy on how the city is moving in terms of it.
Oh, it's kind of weird. I mean, they usually all have to sign off. But it's really, right? I mean, you have to sign off for giving your feedback along the way.
instead of asking them to come back. So, now, during COVID, we had like a little, one night we had like pizza, so it's all like finger, some chili. But it was also the night that they kept them up all night. We had no food, so we just kind of got, so I crap, so I've been up for like, 36 hours or something. You know what I mean? So, and then that one was pretty quick. He's not, he doesn't have cost. He got to go to multiple stores and then he needs it. There's lots of things that I know, really, well, I'm telling you, the Thanksgiving before COVID day, Thanksgiving in 2019, I was sick, and I don't get sick, like very rarely, but I'm totally, and I was like sick, like fever and cough, it was a little dry cough, and so that's just like a little bad already, cough, like it was just night, constant, and I was in Dallas, Texas, another friend of mine, and the comment, like, wow, this is weird. I never really had anything like this before. Because normally you're popping up a bunch of crap. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was a dry pop. And so it was normal. I'm pretty sure I had COVID before that case existed. I'm pretty sure because it was like a weird, like chills and fever and the pop. That was it. Yeah.
Huh? I showed Jefferson. No, yesterday.
Oh.
It went well. They really like it. So. Yeah. How do you know? Huh? They like it a lot. They're hopefully I can get that one going. Whew.
Hi there, you have reached the phone of Kaylee Barnes.
Or she doesn't answer.
Thank you.
Hi there, Julian. This is Kaylee calling from the Federal Credit Union on Valencia. If you can give me a call back, my number is 3602.
Yeah, I know. Busy, good. Later, Vince. See you later, guys.
Hey, good morning. Thank you.
Okay. Adios.
Have a good day.
As long as we're not sure if there's a way.
Oh,
Yeah. Until I was thinking that we're gonna, we look some younger and have working with first year baby. It's not just that. I don't know. Sometimes we have to not do it. We have to ask.
Morning. Okay, last name. Zero. sorry about this, but we have to take you. No, sorry about that. Oh, yeah, this is one moment.
Wait, what's the name of the recommended price tag? Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so I would want to look on the statute of limitations. Thank you so much.
I'll process to the people. I'm not going to but he's on, ask people, and then we're on the floor. It's fine. Do you know if Breezy's got her phone working? It doesn't seem like her phone is working. It seems to be I didn't eat dinner last night, but I had gotta love the fact that Lola Beach had a septic inspection done that was clear with no discrepancies 2 months ago. I'm so excited, and it has an as-built on file. Yay! So cool.
But like, do not use it. Yeah, be like $5 use fee.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, gotcha. Thank you for letting me know. Right, right, yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much. Okay. Hi, yes, please on the phone.
time as I remember. You are such assholes.
What?
I'm sorry, Geronimo, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure that I remember Robert Owen.
You know when the inspection could be going on for a little bit? Kelly,
What?
do you know about a appraisal on Columbia?
Yeah.
What day?
Today.
Kelly asked what day the appraisal
It
was.
was today, I told her that 3 days ago. It's today, and they've already been there, and they're not happy with the deal.
So does it matter?
They need to get the seal detector put in there. They're gonna have to come back.
Really?
Or tell her to take a picture of it, which for today, they've already been there. I know sometimes you reach Robert Bowen. This is part of the conference, and I have a photographer over there at the Center of Broadway. And he's unable to get in. I was just wondering if he had different kind of keys or the business stuff.
She's calling about it right now.
Please give us a call back. 360 and
Okay, I believe that's what she's doing right now is trying to get in contact with her, but I'll tell her to tell her. Okay, alright, that's good. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that happened even with the keys that we had made for the office, so we're just gonna get copyrighted. Yeah. Okay. Can you repeat that one more time about the two exceptions? Did you take pictures of them? I believe so. That's what Kelly said. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I gotcha. Okay. Okay, of course, Kelly. All right. Bye. You're talking to Tom about the key situation.
I'm trying to, but he's not responding. I called him and I sent him text messages. And I even tried to call the owner's dad, because he lives in Brazil, to see if, see if, they had the original set.
Yeah.
What'd she say about the sand pepper?
So she said that she's gonna go out there after she figures out the key problem with Tom and take pictures, and was wondering if we could send them over to the inspector.
Broadway right now, but the keys that we left on their little box, they're not working.